Hi guys, welcome to Mr. B's Art Room. Today we're going to be doing something called one-point names. It's a relatively simple project if you can follow along and understand how your letters are built into doing the single point perspective. We're going to start with showing you how to do names on the page. So as you see here, I just did Mr. B on this one for my first example to show you the overall. Let's go just flip this over to show you one of the things to help you create bubble letters. Bubble letters are fun to do, but there's a trick to do it. The first one, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create one with the name Oscar. Oscar has 5 letters. So I'm going to kind of break this up. I don't have to measure it exactly, but I'm going to kind of break this up into about 5 different areas. 9 inches wide, halfway would be 4. So the middle of my first letter is going to be here. So I'm actually going to do that. My middle letter is a C. I don't want it too wide because I need to do 2 more letters on each side of it. So it's only going to be maybe about 1 inch wide. And I'm just going to do a single line, very light C, like that. Okay? Now that's how you start with it. So let's switch over to a Sharpie so you can see it a little bit better. Okay? So that's the simple part of starting a bubble letter. What you do next is you draw around those lines to create basically an outline of it. Now I would erase this in pencil. So this would be actually pencil if I was doing it. I would erase that to make it show up. Okay, and then I want to make sure that I have room for my A and my R here, so I would do my A skinny like that, my R like that. Notice I didn't put it together. That's because I need to put something around it when I come back. And then up over here, my O and my S. Okay? So that's Oscar on here. So that's how you do a bubble letter starting with a single line. All right? Now let's go to the actual process. All right. So for this project, what you're going to first need to do is you're going to need about the width of the ruler, a very light line. Okay, this is going to be, you can probably barely see it, this is going to be the line that your letters are going to sit on. Okay? The next thing you need to do is you need to give yourself what's left, which on mine is about, we're going to say about 4.5. That means I am only going to make my letters about 2-ish inches tall. That is not math, just guess, okay? So I'm going to give myself an upper line for the upper part of my letters. Again, very light, you probably can barely see it. My lines are there and there, okay? Next, I'm going to do the letters that I'm going to create. So I'm going to put Oscar along here, okay? So I'm going to do this starting with O-S-C-A-R, putting it along here. I'm just going to do the bubble letters. I showed you already how to do this. I'm just going to do the bubble letters fitting into it, okay? All right, so there's my Oscar, O-S-C-A-R. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create our 1 point for the perspective. So halfway across your page, again, this is 9, so right up at the top, going to put a mark at 4.5. Okay? Now, each edge of every letter is going to go towards that. So the rule for 1 point perspective is all lines go to the vanishing point or are straight across. Okay? So they either go to the vanishing point or are straight across. That's the basic rules. Now we're going to get into a little bit of a difference because of some angles as we do this. So to start with, let's start with the easy one, the squared letter, the A. So a squared letter is very easy. Starting on the top edge, we line up the corners and we very lightly go to the vanishing point from the corners. Okay? Very simple. Now with the bottom part of the A, I have to be careful because as I do this, I want to make sure that I'm doing it very lightly and that I'm paying attention and not going through my C. Okay? Because this is going to the vanishing point, but it might run into the C. So I'm going very lightly. Again, this point, I'm going to go to the edge of the letter. Can't see it if it goes past it. And then the inside corner here. Can't see it if I go past it. Okay, pretty simple. Nothing on this side because it's hidden behind it. Now let's go with the C, because the C is going to have a curve. Ooh, speaking curve. Starting on the top edge. Okay. Now with a curve, we want to come over and basically you put the point at the top, hold it steady, and you pull your ruler across until it touches. And that is the spot that you start your line from. So like that. Okay? So down here at the bottom, we do this corner. Goes behind it, so we can't do it. And then this corner. Okay, and that's now our C. I did not do anything here because that's a curve. And so you can do something with shadowing later, or if you want to do something, you can kind of do the same thing where it would be opposite of that. We're not going to worry about it. Okay, so now I'm going to do the rest of these. Watch along. It's going to go fast, but you can see kind of what I'm doing as I'm working on them. Okay, and there we have it. So each of these lines coming off into that area. Okay? So now we want to do the back portion of it. You notice on here there's a back portion. So we have curves, and how do we do the curves? Well, the first thing is I'm just going to use the depth of the ruler. Okay? And I'm going to go along the back, and I'm just going to very lightly cross all the lines that go across there. I'm going to put a very, very light line. You probably can't even see it. So with anything that is straight across, such as, and in this case the only one, the A, I'm just going to put a straight line across. Okay? This also is where I'm going to do a downstroke. Okay? So if you look at this A, notice how it is at a slight angle. So this angle has to move back here. So I kind of just slid it back, trying to keep the ruler at the exact same angle I did here. And I'm just going to start at the top where I touched it and go down to the bottom. So I now have this side of the A. Okay? Don't need to do this one because my A is long, it's not seen. Now if I go straight across the top part of this, notice this is a curve on the R, so I'm going to match it with a curve there. This, however, is straight up and down. So I'm going to go straight up and down from the top edge down. Okay? So that now matches this. Okay? The C. Again, I have my starting point, but my tallest point is here. Okay? Of my C, it curves. So I actually have to kind of guesstimate the curve as it goes along the top edge to match this curve. So I kind of did a curve there. Now my S does the same exact thing. So I have to kind of do a guess on where it curves to follow along this curve. As long as it's close, you're fine. It doesn't have to be perfect by any means. My O is a little easier because I have it on the far edge. So this one is actually going to do something along the lines, it's going to curve down and disappear. Like that. So it kind of matches that. All right? So remember when we're doing anything, oh, I almost forgot. So we have this part of the S. So this comes down. You have to think about this is going to be straight down from it. So I'm going to have my ruler going up and down, and I'm going to touch it to there. So that's this part. And this is going to come up and hide underneath like that. So I tried to follow this curve, so I did it back there again. S's are tough, but I have faith in you. All right, so now I'm going to erase all of the lines behind where I just drew. All right, and so there we go. We have Oscar in 1 point perspective. Let's go ahead and go over it a little bit with a Sharpie so you can see it a little bit better. All right, and here we go with a little bit of added Sharpie to make sure that it shows up a little bit better for you. So that's really it. If you want to play around with colors, putting colors along the edges or inside, you can. But that's it. 1 point perspective names. There you go. Hope to see your projects sent in to me. Have a great rest of your week.